Warning: this disc is for use with a Sega CD system only. This disc contains CD-ROM data and is not for audio use. Please press stop on your disc player now. This disc contains CD-ROM data that may damage your audio system. Please stop playing this disc immediately.
Okay, it's shut down.
Welcome to Windows XP from Microsoft, the new version of Windows that brings your PC to life. Experience the best. Experience Windows XP.
First of all, you should go to your cassette. Here it's the error. If you are also facing this error, I am having a quick setup.
Beautiful Joe 2!
Tyler.
What?
Are you
What?
taking him?
What the fuck? What the son of a bitch? What the? Oh my god! That is not the fucking red ringing goddamn death. Bullshit.
There you go, you guys. Play some Call of Duty now. What's going on?
Fuck, man. Fuck, man.
You serious?
Dude, I just fucking
wait, no,
bought-
wait, just hold on.
Dude, I just fucking bought this goddamn Xbox yesterday, dude.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Son of a bitch.
Alright, try it.
Fuck. You gotta be fucking with me. Damn it! God, motherfucker! Fucking pissing me off. Son of a bitch.
As you can see, the system is up to date. At this point, the system is supposed to naturally reset. That's not the case. I have no idea what's going on, and I don't know how to fix it. I've already talked to Nintendo, but if anybody on Twitter would know how to help, that would be very much appreciated.
So this is great, the disc cannot be read. Now I'm going to use the sanding and rubbing compound method in order to get the disc to work again.
Fala galera, hoje nós vamos aprender como remover o erro 003 do Nintendo.
Smash Brother game. Anyway, the error code here that you'll see is a 1656596 code. It's just a hardware error code, simply telling you that it's not able to detect the NFC chip. We'll go ahead and open this one up, and we'll see what it looks like and how to reattach it. It's not a very difficult process at all.
This is a Sega Dreamcast disc. This is not a music CD. If you continue, you run the risk of transmitting deadly viral diseases to your household electronic appliances. Jeez, some people.
This disc is only intended for use in a Dreamcast console. Track number 1 contains game data, so don't go playing that track.
Hey, this disc is a Dreamcast game, okay? Track 1 is data. Playing it would be a bad idea.
This here is a Dreamcast game disc. The first track has game data on it, so don't go trying to play it.
This disc is only intended for use in a Dreamcast game console. There is game data on track 1, so please don't attempt to play back this disc.
Hey! Wait a minute! What do you think you're doing? This is a Dreamcast disc.
There is game data on track 1, so please don't use this disc in a normal CD player.
We can't save the world from a CD player, so just put us back in the Dreamcast so we can do our job.
Shook the Nintendo and it glitched it.
What? What does that mean?
Glitched.
What?
Oh! Did I fucking break my Nintendo?
I thought it was off and it was still showing that screen.
I hit reset.
Video 2.
What happened to my Nintendo? Oh, thank God.
What happened?
Yo, I have never seen that screen in 20 years of playing this thing.
I've never seen that screen.
It's like, that's an original one, right? Dude, I wonder if I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna try pulling that up real quick.
Do you have any Mario Kart?
Yeah.
We should play that next.
In condition. I set it up as normal, and this is what I get when I set it up. Okay, so then this is what it will look like. This is what it will look like when it comes up, and I have everything plugged in, and it doesn't work. Is it because I'm using the wrong TV? I could probably test it out on another TV, but yeah, that is what it's looking like so far. If you have any recommendations of what I should do.
Oh, okay, Hulu.
in real time without cutting away how to remove it. It's this Xbox loading menu, which people call it the green.
Right now, this is what's happening. Nothing displaying. The Xbox is on. It doesn't want to work. This is on you, Microsoft. Look at my controller is on. It doesn't want to display. See? Nothing. It's called the black screen of death. That's what they call it on Xbox. After a couple of years with this could happen. Gotta get your program together, Microsoft. This is bad. This is really bad. And I barely got this like 2 years ago. And already this happened. Not good. Display's not working. The only thing that will work is doing that. This is bad. And then this thing freezes. Not good.
The Milton Bradley Microvision and the Nintendo Game Boy. One invented cartridge-based handheld gaming, the other made it popular with the masses. Well, arguably Tetris did, but that's just being pedantic. Stop trying to derail my video. But for machines that are a cornerstone of video game history, sadly it's not just one issue affecting these machines, but three. And that's not including failing capacitors. The first one is screen fading. The screens on these systems are all ink-based, so as with actual ink, exposure to the sun over time leaves it constantly fading away, forcing you to constantly crack up the contrast until it's no longer effective. Secondly, we have screen blurring. Now this is especially noticeable when it's scrolling. But have you ever played a Game Boy recently and thought, I don't remember it being this blurry? And, well, you're right. That's because it wasn't that bad. The previously mentioned ink fading has also had an effect on movement in games also. And finally, while the previous two are kind of tolerable, the Grim Reaper of handheld gaming is screen rot. Now this occurs simply from the glue holding the layers of screen together coming apart over the time and letting in oxygen and water again, leaving wet spots and eventually mould patches, which leads to dead pixels and ultimately death of the whole screen. It's not just limited to the Game Boy and Microvision either. A lot of other handheld systems that use similar screens are also starting to see these effects, such as the QuickShot Watara Supervision. On the plus side, replacement screens are coming onto the market for the Game Boy, even though they're a bit of a nightmare to replace yourself. But for the Microvision, sadly, there's no such joy, leaving the pioneer of handheld console gaming to a rather unfortunate demise. So keep these babies wrapped up and out of sunlight to keep them lasting for as long as possible. What's this? A console most of you have never heard of? But yes, it's the console that no listicle ever mentions. Now, the Amstrad GX4000 was Amstrad's failed attempt to jump onto late 80s console gaming market bandwagon by sneakily removing the keyboard from an Amstrad 464 Plus and slapping a £100 price tag on the thing. Unfortunately, thanks to the huge dominance of the Sega Master System in Europe and failing to realise gamers weren't stupid enough to notice 90% of the GX4000's library was £25 cartridge ports of 2-year-old £2 cassette games, it resulted in the console being about as popular as a bacon sandwich at a bar mitzvah. Worse still is, to make that £100 price tag, Amstrad bought a job lot of ultra-cheap, ultra-shoddy Chinese PSU units to power the console. And when they blew, they fried the entire console along with it. Amstrad even stuck warning labels on the system to limit this happening. But it's not a case of if these things will blow, however, it's a case of when. So roll on a quarter of a century later, and a lot of retro collectors are blissfully unaware they're sitting on a ticking time bomb with a GX4000. On the plus side, we can easily buy far superior PSUs quite cheaply now to remedy this error. But since a lot of retro gamers are unaware of this issue, they'll all eventually end up with paperweights that smell of burnt plastic. The unfortunate poster boy of those worst consoles ever lists. Which is a shame, as it really shouldn't be. The Philips CDI is honestly just another victim of the jack-of-all-trades multimedia fad of the early 90s, along with the 3DO, CD-TV and the Apple Pippin. Now, in all fairness, Philips never really intended the CDI to actually be a games console. But when they realised games were the only thing selling on the blooming thing, that's all they pushed towards the end of its rather short life, just to keep it afloat a little longer. But speaking of short lives, ever hear of the infamous suicide battery in Capcom arcade games? Well, the CDI has something similar, but not out of neurotic fear of piracy this time. Oh no, just good old-fashioned incompetence. You see, the CDI contains a non-volatile RAM chip, which is more commonly known as a timekeeper battery inside the system. This pretty much does what you expect it to do, maintains the date, time, game saves, and essentially boots up the system when you turn it on. However, this battery has a life expectancy of up to 25 years, and since the CDI was released in 1991, well, you can see where I'm going with this. When the timekeeper battery dies, the CDI goes insane. It constantly tells you to delete some items from its memory before it can load any disks. But since it's dead, it won't load up the software to delete said files, effectively putting it in an endless loop and ultimately bricking the system. On the plus side, however, the timekeeper chip is just a simple lithium watch battery that needs replacing. On the downside though, rather than solder it onto the motherboard like every other company would, they decided to bury it inside a ceramic chip, which is an absolute devil's job to open up without destroying the bloody thing. So, if you've got a steady hand with a Dremel, you can sort this issue out yourself. If you haven't, then you got yourself a giant paperweight that used to play crap games. Another great little system that people unfairly bash. Tiger Telematics' short-lived handheld console was a great little device for its day. PS1 quality 3D graphics, the ability to use it as a sat-nav for your car, and if its £230 asking price was a little too high for you, which it was. I mean, come on, 230 quid was a ridiculous price for a handheld console. They'd knock £100 off the asking price as long as you were prepared to sit through 3 ads a day, which they never actually implemented. But with a coke-addicted CEO who went through Ferraris quicker than a porn star's yellow pages, and a business nearly entirely funded by the Swedish mafia, what could possibly go wrong with the system? Well, the problem isn't with the mechanics. It's still a pretty fun little system, with quite a large exclusive library to boot. No, the problem exists in what it's made out of. The Gizmondo is melting. You see, the Gizmondo is made out of that rubber-feeling plastic that a lot of electronic items had at the time to make them feel more luxurious. But rather than using it to cover normal plastic, like with other systems, they made the entire thing out of it. So today, it feels like a piece of black licorice you've been chewing on, pulled out of your mouth, and started squishing in your hands. But to have any electronic device turn into a pile of goo in little over a decade is rather inexcusable. And with it having only sold 25,000 units, no one's exactly clambering over themselves to reproduce cases for it. So, unfortunately, no one's going to be playing the bloody thing soon, in fear of becoming permanently fused with it. Larry, you've already fobbed us off with handhelds on this list already. But arcade games aren't consoles. I know! They're sort of like consoles. I mean, after all, they essentially work the same way. But I'm including them on this list, as buying an arcade machine is a hardcore gamer's equivalent of going through a midlife crisis. I mean, look at me! I've got 5 of the bloody things. That's how insecure I am. Now, as I said earlier, the suicide battery on some arcade boards is common knowledge in the gaming community. Capcom were infamous for them. So was Konami to a lesser extent. But luckily, Phoenix mods now exist to remedy that issue. But I'm here to talk about Sega's first full foray into 3D gaming with their Model 1 arcade board. It was an absolutely stunning piece of kit for its time, and was used in games such as Virtua Racing, Virtua Fighter, and Star Wars Arcade. Sega even ventured into some rudimentary VR with the Model 1 with the Netmerc, the little-known successor to the Virtuality arcade machines. However, as with a lot of their neuroticism at the time, the Model 1's main problem was Sega trying to rush it out the door as quickly as possible to compete with Namco's System 21 arcade board. This meant cutting some corners. And the most insane one of all was, for such a GPU-intensive system, Sega never added any fans to the board. Now, by absolute pure chance, this never affected the Model 1 at the time, but as time goes by, aging hardware tends to get hotter and hotter, to the point that over the past decade, Model 1 units have had a tendency to literally cook themselves to death. Even sadder is that the Model 1 is nearly entirely comprised of custom hardware. So short of salvaging other dead systems for parts that haven't caught fire, it's impossible to find replacement parts for it. So, short of you having incredibly deep pockets and being unbelievably patient for parts to turn up, the only way around this situation is to rip the whole system out and wire in a MAME emulator. So nuts to these elitists demanding they only play games on original hardware. You scream for authenticity while your house is burning down. See who's gaming then.
What the fuck? It won't start. It won't start. 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 How do you start? Oh, that's perfect. I have to hold the disk hatch down just to get the game to spin. What, did I really expect this thing to work? I don't even want to play this piece of fuck to begin with, let alone one-handed holding the thing down to get it to function. There we go, the brand new CD32 add-on. A paint can. It's like the hillbilly cousin of the 32X. So here we go, the first game on the garbage pile, Dangerous Streets. Huh? Warning, do not play track 1 of this game CD on any audio CD player. Why not? I have to find out. I guess the reason they tell you not to do it is because this game has the soundtrack and track 1 is the game file, so it doesn't work. Anyway...
Hey everybody, right here we're looking at this Sega Game Gear, which at this angle appears to be in good working condition, but there's something wrong with the screen because when you come straight up and look at it straight on, you can't see anything. You have to be at a very low angle for the screen to actually work so you can see it and actually play it. So I just wanted to point that out. The unit itself is in good physical condition, but there is a screen issue on this. Thanks for watching.
So I just got this Atari Lynx, and if you end up getting like an insert game error, it depends on how you clean it, but you gotta put it in here and then you turn it on. I already cleaned this already, but there's normally it says insert game, but this is one I cleaned up the context already. Normally it would say insert game and then you would get like an error. So what I do with that when it happens is you put isopropyl alcohol. You use this. Any 91% isopropyl alcohol is fine. Just spray it on a Q-tip and just rub the contact points in here and you'll be able to start the game up. Actually, this is clean. Warbird is clean now. But yeah, that's how you fix insert game. But sorry, I can't see because I already cleaned.
What happens if you put a Nintendo 3DS cartridge into a normal Nintendo DS console? Well, as you can see, you can insert the cart, but you just can't push it down. And it's because of that little piece of plastic on the top of the cartridge. But I'm not gonna let this piece of plastic win. I'm gonna bring the game in the workshop and I'm going to fix the problem. Which tool am I going to use? Safety first. Alright, so let's just take care of this little problem here and... masterpiece. Alright, let's put the cartridge in and it fits. Let's turn it on and nothing happens. Wow, well, that was pretty dumb. Thankfully, the cartridge still works in the 3DS and I can still play my Mega Man. Hey, at least now you know.
guys. Bye-bye. Right, so here we are, guys.
battery, which I believe is for the internal clock, and for a moment I presumed that maybe this had to be in there for the console to turn on, but a little bit of research turns out that is false. This thing is dead, so we'll have to crack it open and see what's going on.
I use it for both. Now, the problem with this is, watch what it does. That's it. I believe there's something wrong with the port. Turn it off. Turn it back on. With no plug in it. The lights are on, they're red. Does that mean that the battery is dying? For all this time I've had this unit, the battery has not died, but I believe it's just at that point. The simple thing to do is open it up and put a new battery in. They're like $10.
Was told that the speaker's messed up. Oh yeah, it's messed up. The connector is messed up, or someone replaced it and it does not work well, or it needs to be resoldered, or it needs a new speaker. Let's go see.
No matter what Switch game I try to play, I keep getting this message. Something about how these policies have been updated, so I click OK, which takes you to this new screen. And if you don't hit I agree and you just exit out of it, I literally can't play any game and it says no virtual game cards are able to load. Basically, my Switch is bricked until I sign this agreement. But I don't know what I'm signing. Should I do it?
Hey, let me show you how you can fix that issue when you try to redeem your Mario Kart War on Nintendo Switch 2nd generation, but you get the error code 28117001. So, I was actually inputting my code. Exactly. It was looking like this. So I'm having really weird issues with my Switch too. I mean, here it actually loaded into the store, but if I click on anything, I immediately get a bunch of error codes. Despite it successfully having been connected to the internet, there are no tiles showing up on the home screen either. And when I test my internet connection, my download speeds are abysmal. Look at that. The only way to get even halfway usable speeds is by standing right next to my router. And those speeds are still pretty butt cheeks. And you can see the Nintendo page is also working now. So that means I have to be right next to my router for it to work. But I still don't have any tiles on my home screen. I've Googled it and apparently a bunch of other people also seem to be having this issue. So let me know in the comments if you're also having this problem.